Hello there, and thank you for clicking on this video. This weekend, all over America, there were, quote, no kings protests. And I did not participate. Haven't been feeling real well this weekend. I'm feeling better today, but I would not have participated regardless. Yeah, it's people protesting Trump and his performance so far as president. I find all of these people to be very disingenuous because they're not saying the right things. They are expressing to Trump that they're not happy with him. However, I honestly believe, especially in places like Missouri, which is where I am right now, that's where I live, if these people had to do all over again, I don't know that they would not vote for Trump again. Because this time last year, leading up to election 2024, I really think that the focus was we don't want this, however you want to call her, this biracial woman or this black woman or this child of immigrant woman to be the president. And that was the priority. They didn't care about anything else. So, as far as I'm concerned, all these people, they just need to kind of live with their choice. It is what it is. There are no do-overs, so I don't quite understand their point. They should have did what they were supposed to do in the first place, which is vote for someone who is coherent. It actually seems like they could maybe do a halfway decent job, at least do a job that is not embarrassing. And I just want to say, this time last year on the weekends, I was spending time doing what they call lit drops. I got literature from the Democrats of my county where I live, and they would give me some literature, just these little flyers. And there was an app that I downloaded, and I downloaded some addresses, and I would drive around and I would do these lit drops informing the occupants of the home of the Democratic candidates that were running for office. So I feel like I did my part. I feel like I've already been out there in the streets in a productive way. And also, they're out there wearing costumes and whatnot. Now, when Portland does it, it's kind of cute. It's kind of funny because Portland has a reputation for being, you know, like that, like kind of eccentric. I have not been there, but I know that that's their reputation. When other people do it, they just look silly and unserious. So, anyway, let's talk about some of the things going on in the world. This is all Trump related and related to how he's doing a bad job. Okay, let's start off with natural disasters. Alaska, and these have all happened like over the last like maybe couple of weeks. Alaska, San Francisco, and Arizona have all experienced flooding. I have not heard Trump speak a word about any of this. And I follow both of my senators on Facebook. Neither of them have spoken about any of this flooding. And the flooding in Alaska was actually caused by a typhoon, and it's quite severe. Really remote communities, looks like they've been destroyed by this typhoon, and I have not heard Trump speak a word about it, which is crazy because that used to be expected of presidents, and now it's just kind of like wah, wah. I mean, even the news, they will go and report on it, and they don't even mention the president. It's bizarre. I mean, like I said before, it's almost like Trump is a really detached substitute teacher who doesn't care. Like they just want to show up, sit down, be on their phone, or back in my day when I was in school, maybe bring a newspaper with them and just sit back and read their chair and sit back in their chair and read the paper or whatever and collect their pay, like, and they don't care. So that's very unfortunate, and people need to stop discouraging young people from pursuing a higher education, because it looks to me like the world, and particularly this country, we're going to need some engineers. Like, a lot of them, they're going to have to sort this out, because we can't just be having floods somewhere like every month. So, especially with a president that doesn't care at all and won't even acknowledge the matter. So, yeah, these kids need to go to school and be engineers. Hopefully, there should be quite a bit of opportunity in that field in the future. All right. Trump says he's going to, I don't know if these are his words, but he says that he is going to like cut off federal funding to the blue cities, especially cities like New York. He says he doesn't want to fund the infrastructure in New York with federal dollars. I think he says something like that about Chicago as well. But someone needs to tell Trump that that's where a lot of the money is made, is in cities, the blue cities. That's where the tourism is based, and people can say whatever they want, but there's a lot of economic outputs in cities. So, yeah, I think that it behooves the president, if he really wants to behave like a president, to support the blue cities. All right, now let's talk about Vegas. I'm going to add Florida to the list. Let me go jot that down. Vegas, Las Vegas, Nevada is not very financially successful right now. I never thought that I would see the day. I mean, this is beyond anything I ever could have imagined. I've been to Las Vegas a few times. Every time I've been, there have just been crowds and crowds and crowds of people everywhere you look. But I guess the crowds are not coming. People are not flying there. People are being like essentially laid off. I mean, I guess a lot of their workforce there is on call. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people are not working. And anyway, I mean, Las Vegas, there's a lot of positions there that are based on tips, and tips are a large part of their income. So, I mean, if there's not a lot of people, there's, the workforce is having quite a bit of their income slashed. So, yeah, I mean, Vegas is not performing well right now. I think a lot of it has to do with Canada being upset with Trump, rightfully so. I do not blame them. And they just decided to not spend their time in Las Vegas. So there is that. But my goodness, I just never, ever imagined that we would hear about Las Vegas saying that they're not generating enough revenue in this climate. Like, my goodness, I would have always thought that city was just like, recession proof and everything else. So that's pretty interesting. All right, I jotted down Florida too. Evidently, Florida is in the same boat. There aren't as many tourists visiting there either, and I guess Canadians that like to visit Florida and maybe have second homes in Florida, they're not visiting those homes or going there. I read one comment on social media where someone said that they decided to spend time in Mexico instead. So, again, I don't really blame them. But that governor of Florida, whose name I guess I've mentally blocked out, I can't think of it right now, but he says that he no longer wants it to be a requirement for children in public schools to be vaccinated, which is insane to me, especially in an economy that's so based on tourism. That is insane to think that someone is going to risk exposure to polio and the mumps trying to go to Disney World. I mean, that's just insane. Um, and you really got to wonder about the end game here. I mean, are they trying to bottom everything out? It almost seems like it, because this is just incredibly stupid, and I just do not understand. And that governor of Florida, um, he just really is at odds with Disney, and it's just like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, what else does Florida really have? I mean, they have beaches, but the main draw is Disney World, and they're like one of the top employers of the state. So it's like, you would think that you would try and cooperate with them a little bit, but I guess that makes too much sense. All right, moving on. Israel and Palestine. Trump, they already are acting up again, but Trump is kind of taking a little victory lap and saying, I brought peace to the Middle East. He did get the hostages released, so I've always said I will give credit where credit is due. And so the hostages on both sides are being released. So that is good. And so congratulations to those individuals and everyone that loves them. Is that appropriate to say congratulations on your hostage release? Well, nonetheless, I don't know. But I think that it's kind of weird and disingenuous. And I mean, Trump is being Trump, but he does not deserve to be patting himself on the back like this over the Israel-Palestine situation, because at best, this is a two-state solution, which Biden suggested, and all the way back to Carter suggested it. I think just about every American president in between those has suggested the exact same thing. So this is not that big of a deal. Trump has no business trying to take that victory lap and acting like he is the one who brought peace to the Middle East. First of all, again, like I said, they're already acting up again. Good for him for getting the hostages released. But I really think that his interest in the Middle East is real estate development, because I've seen news stories about the Palestinians evacuating and returning home. And I never realized this. I mean, I guess I should have, but it really is a beautiful area. It's lovely. Like, it's right on the water, and it's sandy beaches and all that stuff. And as soon as I saw that story, where all these people were evacuating Gaza, and I saw the sea, it must be the Mediterranean, I was like, yes, yeah, Trump is going to level this place and put up a Trump Tower, which I believe he's already said that that's his plans. And I believe that as we speak, Jared, his son-in-law, is in Israel, probably trying to work out those details. There's going to be a story on 60 Minutes today about it. So if I can remember, I'll watch. Almost every time I plan to watch something on TV, I forget. Let's see. Qatar has Air Force operations in Idaho, for goodness sakes. Qatar, the people who gave Trumpy Poo a plane. And again, I didn't know this until recently, but Hamas has headquarters in Qatar. And I just thought that was bizarre. I was like, Hamas has headquarters like in a building, like they have offices. Evidently. So yeah, and I found that out because there was an emergency in Qatar within the last month. And they got bombed. So, and I was sitting here like, so they just have like an office and like a receptionist and stuff like that. Like, I thought it was crazy. It's not what I was envisioning. All right. Okay, I'm going to jump to the end and then I'm going to come back to my list. Prince Andrew. So Trump's best friend's friend has to give up his royal title because of the Epstein scandal. And it looks like Prince William is the one that is maybe insisting on it. At least that's the story in the press. And I say good for William. Good for you. But yeah, Prince Andrew is having to give up his royal title. And again, this is Trump's buddy's buddy. Again, a lot of people are wanting the Epstein files released, and that's fine. I sure don't have a problem with it, but I don't need to see it. I do not need to see it. When I think about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump loves a camera, loves being in front of a camera, when I think about all the pictures that I've ever seen of Donald Trump in my life, he is happiest when he's around Jeffrey Epstein. He is giddy. Like, that is his buddy. That is his friend. Trump has never looked that happy on any of his wedding days. He's not that happy around any of his kids. But when he was around Jeffrey Epstein, it was that was his buddy. So yeah. And his friend is giving up his royal titles because, well, first of all, his mom's not alive anymore. So he doesn't have her, protecting him. And I mean, yeah, when your mom is the Queen of England, you probably skate on a lot in life. And my gosh, Sarah Ferguson, I don't know what to say about her. Like, on one hand, I was like, this is the most not wanting to work woman on the planet because they have not been married in a long time. They've been divorced for a very long time. They had a friendship. He supported her financially. They lived together, and I was just like, good grief, after all this time, she could have rebuilt her life. I'm sure it's difficult to try and rebuild your life after a divorce, especially a high profile divorce, especially a divorce from someone in the British royal family. But after all this time, I was like, she could have found her a career. She could have found her a new man. Like, she could have moved on, but she was still like running up behind Andrew. And I was just like, again, bottom B word culture. Like, it's global. It's a problem. But then I thought, on the other hand, look what happened to her sister-in-law after divorcing and moving on. So maybe she was just trying to go along and get along so she didn't end up in a mysterious car accident. Who knows? Okay, so now let's talk about food stamps. So the government is shut down, really because the Republicans want to act like fools. They're trying to blame it on the Democrats, but they're liars. And I hope that the Democrats don't give in to this nonsense because they have nothing to gain. Because right now, Republicans are saying, well, the government shutdown is due to Democrats, but the Democrats are holding out, trying to renegotiate the funding for healthcare. So Democrats right now, they're standing for people being able to have healthcare, whether it is through some government program or private insurance, because we're all going to be affected. So that's what the Democrats are holding out for. Republicans they want to defund healthcare federally. And so they're blaming Democrats for not negotiating that. So they're saying that this is a Democrat shutdown. If Democrats gave into this, once healthcare just nosedive and no one could afford it, and people would just end up dying off, at that point then they would say, oh well, it was Democrats who voted to defund healthcare. So Democrats have absolutely nothing to gain by trying to bargain with Republicans. so they shouldn't. So I don't blame them for that. But anyway, the government is shut down, and now they're talking about completely like cutting off things like Snap and Wick. Right now it is mid-October. So pretty soon it's time to start thinking about the holidays. Of course, Thanksgiving happens in November. So I don't know how that's gonna look if they go through with this. If they actually go through with cutting off all the funding for the food stamps, I just really don't know what to expect at that point. Maybe the states would fund their programs individually. I don't know. I know that, a lot of these so called red states, they like to say states' rights, da da da. So, okay, there you go. You wanted to run it, so run it. So maybe they could fund their own individual program, but I find it to be a little bit scary to see how that would work. This holiday season, we could see a Black Friday like no other, like the Black Fridays of old, but for food. So I don't know. I just really do not know how that's going to work out, but I think it's ridiculous, frankly. So yeah, that is about it. Oh, and here's the other thing. If Trump decides that he is going to cut off funding for programs like SNAP, where does this money go? Like if he decides that I don't want to fund infrastructure projects in New York City, I don't want to fund SNAP, I want to Doge this and Doge that. Where does the money go? The money was already appointed. Those taxes have already been paid. Where does the money go? Oh, and one more thing I can add to my list here. A few weeks ago, maybe it was a few days ago, and it was like last week, the crypto markets fell. Now, I don't know much about the crypto markets. I don't have a very good impression of the crypto markets. To me, it seems like people who get involved with crypto are scammers and people who don't want their money traced because they're involved with something criminal or something. Like that's just kind of the impression that I get. And I remember I did watch a little bit of Trump's little military parade last summer, and my mind was blown because there was a corporate sponsor. First of all, military parade in America, mind blown level number one. Number two was it was terrible. They looked very sloppy out there. Number three is there were corporate sponsors. So anyway, one of the corporate sponsors was a cryptocurrency, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" And like Trump has had dinners for people who are really involved with like the crypto markets and stuff like that. Well, anyway, the crypto markets crashed. It does look there are speculations that someone in the Trump family set up a account right before the markets crashed and made a bunch of money, but I cannot really begin to speak on that on any level. Yeah, some people are saying that it's barren, so who knows? But yeah, the crypto markets crashed. And I thought it was very peculiar how Trump was so invested in the crypto markets because I was like, you're the president of the United States. Like, you need to be interested in the US dollar. That's it. Seems like a real conflict of interest to me for him to have been so interested in cryptocurrency. But again, like nothing makes sense. He does what he wants. No one seems to care. Truth be told, these people that were at the No King's Day, they don't care either, honestly. Um, I believe that if they had to do it all again, they probably would make the same choice just because they didn't want Kamala Harris and it wasn't for any good reason. They just didn't like her ethnic background and they didn't like her gender. They preferred a white male, even though he is a scammer with cognitive issues um, and a criminal record. So, it is what it is. It's all very performative. Excuse me for using that word. That word gets overused, but it is appropriate right now. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this. I had time today because I wasn't feeling that great. I didn't go do anything yesterday, didn't go to church today, didn't want to go in and like infect people and stuff like that, even though I'm feeling a little bit better. So, anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.